My name is Renee Carter, and I'm 36 years old. On what should have been the worst day of my entire life, I sat in that freezing cold courtroom watching my husband Darren demand everything: our house, our savings, full custody of our daughter. The judge was about to rule in his favor. His lawyer had just finished painting me as an unstable, neglectful mother who didn't deserve anything. I was about to lose everything I'd ever loved. And then I heard it. A small voice cut through the silence like a knife. It was my 11-year-old daughter, Maya. "Your Honor," she said, her voice trembling but somehow clear. "May I show you something that Mommy doesn't know about?" The judge stopped mid-sentence. My heart completely stopped. What could Maya possibly know that I didn't? What secret had my baby been keeping from me all this time? She stepped forward with her old tablet, clutched in her small hands, and pressed play. The moment that video started playing on those courtroom monitors, the entire room went dead silent. What appeared on that screen didn't just shock the judge. It destroyed my husband's lies and exposed a betrayal so evil, so calculated, so cold-blooded that I still can't believe it happened to me. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start from the beginning, because you need to understand how a man I loved, a man I trusted with my whole heart, turned into the monster who tried to steal everything from me. Including my own child. My life in Houston used to feel like a dream. I had a beautiful 4-bedroom house in a quiet suburb. I had a daughter who was my entire world. And I had a husband who I thought loved me more than anything. But looking back now, I realize I was living inside a carefully constructed lie. Every single day was a performance, and I didn't even know I was the only one in the audience. Every morning, I woke up at 4:45 a.m. while Darren was still sleeping peacefully in our king-size bed. I'd tiptoe downstairs to the kitchen and start preparing his breakfast. Scrambled eggs with cheese, turkey sausage links, wheat toast with real butter, fresh squeezed orange juice, and black coffee with exactly 1 spoonful of sugar. That's how he liked it. That's how he always demanded it. I'd make sure his dress shirts were perfectly pressed and hanging in the closet. I'd polish his shoes the night before. I'd have his briefcase waiting by the front door with his laptop already inside. Everything had to be perfect because that's what I thought a good wife was supposed to do. That's what he told me a good wife was supposed to do by 6:15. I was gently waking up Maya, my beautiful 11-year-old baby girl. I'd help her pick out her outfit for school, brush her long braids until they were smooth and shiny, pack her lunch with a handwritten note telling her how much I loved her, and make her favorite breakfast: blueberry waffles with whipped cream and a glass of chocolate milk. We'd sit together at the kitchen table every single morning, and she'd tell me about her friends, about the book she was reading, about the science project she was excited about. Those morning moments with Maya were everything to me. They were pure and real and honest. They were the only time I felt truly happy anymore. But I had no idea what was coming. Darren would come downstairs around 7 o'clock, already dressed in one of those expensive tailored suits he loved so much. He'd sit at the table, scroll through his phone without looking up, drink his coffee, and barely acknowledge that I existed. Maybe he'd grunt. Maybe he'd say the eggs are cold even when I knew they weren't. Maybe he'd say nothing at all. I'd watch him kiss Maya on the forehead and tell her to have a good day at school. He'd smile at her like she was his whole world. But then he'd walk right past me like I was invisible. No kiss, no hug. No thank you for breakfast, baby. No, I love you. Nothing. He'd just grab his briefcase and leave. And I'd be standing there in that big, empty kitchen feeling like I didn't even exist. Like I was a ghost living in my own home. But I told myself it was just stress. Darren worked so hard as the regional sales director for a medical equipment company. He was tired. He had a lot on his plate. He was under so much pressure. That's what I kept telling myself every single day. That's the lie I kept feeding myself because the truth was too painful to accept. I quit my nursing job 9 years ago when Maya was born. I had a good career, y'all. I was making solid money, had benefits, had my own independence. I worked in the pediatric unit at Houston Methodist, and I loved those kids like they were my own. But Darren convinced me to stay home. "Renee, our daughter needs her mother," he said with those big brown eyes that I used to trust. "I make more than enough money for all of us. You don't need to work. Just take care of our home and our baby. Let me provide for this family." And like a fool, I believed him. I gave up everything. My career, my income, my financial independence, my identity outside of being Darren's wife and Maya's mother. I gave it all up because I trusted my husband. I trusted him completely. For 9 years, I poured everything I had into being the perfect wife and the perfect mother. I kept that house spotless. I cooked every single meal from scratch. I did all the laundry, all the cleaning, all the grocery shopping on the tight budget Darren gave me. I helped Maya with her homework every single night. I volunteered at her school every single week. I was there for every moment of my daughter's life. And Darren was barely there at all. Over the past year, things got so much worse. He started coming home later and later at night. "Working late," he'd say. "Big deal coming through," he'd say. "Don't wait up for me," he'd say. Some nights he wouldn't come home until midnight, and when he did, he'd go straight to the guest room without even speaking to me. We used to have family dinners every Sunday night. That was our tradition from the very beginning. But even those became painful. Darren would sit at the table with his phone in his hand, scrolling through emails or text messages. Barely touching the pot roast I'd spent 4 hours preparing. When I'd try to make conversation, he'd give me one-word answers. When Maya would try to tell him about her week, he'd nod without really listening. His body was there, but his mind was somewhere else entirely. I felt like I was disappearing, like I was slowly becoming invisible in my own home. But I held on. I kept trying. I kept believing that if I just worked harder, if I just did more, if I just loved him better, things would go back to the way they used to be when we were first married, and he looked at me like I was the most beautiful woman in the world. I was so blind. So incredibly, painfully blind, there were signs, y'all. Red flags everywhere. And I ignored every single one of them. Darren started wearing this new cologne. Something expensive and masculine that I'd never smelled on him before. When I asked him about it, he said a colleague recommended it. He said it was better for business meetings. I believed him. There were receipts in his jacket pockets for restaurants I'd never been to, for hotels I'd never stayed in, for jewelry I'd never received. When I asked about them, he'd say they were client dinners or business expenses. He'd say his company would reimburse him. I believed him. His phone was always face down on the table. He changed his passcode 3 different times in 6 months. He started taking calls in the garage or in his car. When I'd walk into a room while he was texting, he'd suddenly lock his phone and shove it in his pocket. Every single time I questioned it, he'd accuse me of being paranoid or insecure or crazy. "What's wrong with you, Renee?" He'd say with this disgusted look on his face. "Why are you always so suspicious? You're going to drive me away with all this jealousy." And like a fool, I believed him. I apologized for questioning him. I apologized for having doubts. I apologized for my own intuition that was screaming at me that something was very, very wrong. But my daughter saw everything. My sweet Maya was watching, and she was so much smarter than either of us ever realized. The day my world collapsed started like any other Thursday afternoon. I had just picked Maya up from school, and we were sitting at the kitchen counter. She was eating her after-school snack, apple slices with peanut butter. While I helped her with her math worksheet, that's when I heard a loud knock at the front door. I opened it to find a woman in a gray suit standing on my porch holding a large manila envelope. "Renee Carter?" she asked. "Yes, that's me." She handed me the envelope without a smile. "You've been served." My hands were shaking as I closed the door. I don't know why, but something in my gut told me this wasn't going to be good. My stomach was in knots. My heart was racing. I felt like I was about to throw up. The envelope had the logo of a law firm in the corner. Henderson and Associates, Family Law Specialists. I told Maya to keep working on her homework, and I went into the living room. I sat down on the couch and opened that envelope, and what I saw inside made my entire world crumble. Petition for dissolution of marriage. I read those words over and over again, hoping I was seeing things wrong, hoping it was some kind of mistake. But there it was in black and white. Darren was divorcing me. But it wasn't just a divorce. It was a complete destruction. The documents accused me of being a failed wife. It said I had failed to maintain the marital home. It called me emotionally unstable and unfit. It said I was incapable of properly caring for our daughter. And then came the demands. And y'all, these demands made me physically sick. Darren was demanding full custody of Maya. Not shared custody. Not joint custody. Full and complete custody. He wanted to take my baby away from me entirely.
He was demanding the house that I had turned into a home, the house where I had raised our daughter, the house where I had spent 9 years of my life making everything perfect for him. He was demanding all the marital assets, the savings, the cars, the retirement accounts, everything. His reasoning? I hadn't contributed financially to the marriage, so I deserved nothing. 9 years of being a stay-at-home mother, of sacrificing my career, of dedicating my entire life to our family, and according to him, I deserved absolutely nothing. I sat on that couch with papers scattered around me, and I couldn't breathe. My chest felt tight. My hands were shaking so badly I couldn't hold the papers anymore. Tears were streaming down my face, and I couldn't stop them. How could he do this? How could the man I loved, the man I had given everything to, how could he try to destroy me like this? I heard the front door open. Darren came home early that day. The first time in months he'd been home before 8 p.m., and suddenly I understood exactly why. He wanted to see my reaction. He wanted to watch me break. He walked into the living room and saw me on the floor surrounded by divorce papers, tears streaming down my face. And you know what he did? He didn't look surprised. He didn't look guilty. He didn't look sad. He looked satisfied. "I see you got the papers," he said calmly, loosening his tie like it was just another Thursday evening. "Darren, what? What does this mean?" I managed to choke out through my tears. He walked over to the bar cart and poured himself a glass of whiskey. He took a slow sip before he answered. "It means exactly what you read, Renee. I'm done. I'm done with this marriage. I'm done with you." Those words hit me like physical blows. "Done with me?" I screamed, my voice cracking with pain and disbelief. "I've given you everything. I quit my career for you. I raised our daughter. I took care of this house. How can you be done with me?" Darren laughed. Actually laughed, y'all. This cold, cruel laugh that made my blood run completely cold. "Took care of the house?" he said with a disgusting smirk. "All you've done is sit around spending my money while I worked my fingers to the bone. Maya needs a real mother, someone competent, someone stable, not someone who cries all the time and can't even keep a clean kitchen." I tried to stand up, but my legs felt like jelly. "You can't take Maya from me. You can't take everything. This isn't fair." Darren crouched down so his face was level with mine, and what he said next, I will never forget as long as I live. "I can and I will," he said, his voice low and venomous. "My lawyer has everything prepared, all the evidence we need. You won't get a single dollar, Renee. You'll leave this house with nothing. And here's the best part." He smiled that evil smile. "Even your own daughter is going to testify in court about what an incompetent mother you really are." I felt like I'd been stabbed in the chest. "What? Number Maya would never." "She will," Darren interrupted, standing back up and smoothing his jacket. "Because she knows the truth. You're not fit to be her mother. You never were." He walked away from me like he'd just told me what he wanted for dinner, not like he'd just destroyed my entire life. He went upstairs to the guest room and locked the door, leaving me collapsed on the living room floor, sobbing so hard I thought I might die right there. That night was the longest night of my life. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I couldn't think straight. All I could do was sit in Maya's room and watch her sleep, terrified that this might be one of the last nights I'd ever get to do this. How could Darren say that Maya would testify against me? What lies had he been filling her head with? What poison had he been dripping into my baby's ears when I wasn't around? But I had no idea what was really going on. I had no idea that my daughter had been watching everything, that she had been gathering evidence, that she was about to save my life. The next morning, I was completely numb. Darren acted like nothing had happened. He woke up, got dressed in another expensive suit, and came downstairs whistling like he didn't have a care in the world. "Good morning, princess," he said to Maya in this voice dripping with fake sweetness. "Daddy's gonna take you out for ice cream after school today, just the two of us." Maya looked at him with this strange expression on her face, something I couldn't quite read. Then she looked at me, and I saw something in her eyes that I didn't understand. Something protective, something fierce. "That's okay, Daddy," she said quietly. "I have homework to do." Darren's smile faltered for just a second before he recovered. "Well, maybe tomorrow then. Daddy loves you, princess." He kissed her on the forehead and walked out the door without even glancing in my direction. When I heard his car pull out of the driveway, I collapsed into a chair. "Maya, baby, I need to tell you something." But she was already next to me, her small hand on my arm. "I know, Mommy. I heard everything last night." My heart shattered. "Baby, I'm so sorry. You shouldn't have heard that." "Don't worry, Mommy," Maya said, and there was something in her voice that made me pause, something strong, something determined. "Everything's gonna be okay, I promise." But I had no idea what she meant. I had no idea that my 11-year-old daughter had been preparing for this moment for months. Over the next few days, reality started to sink in like a slow poison spreading through my veins. I had to fight this. I had to find a way to protect myself and my daughter. But how? I had absolutely nothing. For 9 years, Darren had controlled all the finances. Every single penny that came into our household went through him first. He gave me a monthly allowance for groceries and Maya's school supplies, but that was it. I had no savings of my own, no income, no financial independence whatsoever. I had trusted him completely, and now I was paying the price. My hands were shaking as I grabbed my phone and opened our banking app. We had a joint account, the one I thought held our family's emergency savings. The account that was supposed to have at least $50,000 in it from years of Darren's bonuses and my careful budgeting. I entered the password, waited for the app to load, and when I saw the balance, I thought I was going to pass out right there on the kitchen floor. $0. That account was completely empty. "No, no, no, no," I whispered, refreshing the app over and over again, hoping it was some kind of glitch, some kind of banking error. But the number didn't change. 0. Absolutely nothing. I clicked on the transaction history with trembling fingers, and what I saw made me want to scream until my throat was raw. For the past 8 months, Darren had been systematically withdrawing money from our joint account. Large amounts. $15,000 here, $25,000 there, $18,000, $32,000. The withdrawals happened every few weeks, and every single one of them was transferred to an account I didn't recognize. The last withdrawal had been made just 4 days ago. He had emptied the remaining $47,000 from our account, leaving me with absolutely nothing. I ran upstairs to our bedroom, my heart pounding so hard it hurt. I went to my jewelry box, the one that held my wedding rings, my grandmother's antique brooch that she'd left me when she passed, the diamond earrings Darren gave me on our 10th anniversary, the pearl necklace that had been my mother's before she died. I opened the box and it was empty, completely empty. Not a single piece of jewelry remained. Everything of value was gone. He had stolen everything. He had planned this for months, maybe even longer. He had systematically robbed me of every dollar, every valuable possession, every bit of financial security I had. And then he had the audacity to accuse me of being financially irresponsible in his divorce papers. I collapsed on the bedroom floor and cried until I had no tears left. I felt so stupid, so blind, so completely and utterly betrayed by the man I had loved and trusted for 12 years. But I couldn't give up. I had to fight for Maya. Even if I had to fight with absolutely nothing, I had to try. I called my cousin Tanya, who lived in Dallas. She was the only family I had left since my parents passed away. I told her everything through broken sobs, and she was horrified. "Renee, you need a lawyer right now," she said firmly. "I know someone. Her name is Patricia Wells. She handles divorce cases, and she's known for helping women who are in impossible situations. She's got a payment plan for clients who can't afford upfront fees. Call her today, I'm serious. The next morning, after Maya went to school, I took a cab to attorney Patricia Wells' office. It was in a modest building downtown. Nothing fancy. But when I met her, I felt a tiny spark of hope for the first time since my world had collapsed. Patricia was a black woman in her early 50s with silver-streaked hair and warm, intelligent eyes. She had this calm, confident presence that made me feel like maybe, just maybe, I wasn't completely alone in this fight. She listened to my entire story without interrupting. She took notes. She nodded. And when I was done, she looked at me with determination in her eyes. Renee, your husband isn't just divorcing you. He's trying to annihilate you. But I've seen this before. Men who think they can bulldoze their wives because they controlled all the money. We're not going to let him win. We're going to fight. I started crying again, but this time they were tears of relief. Someone believed me. Someone was going to help me. Patricia asked to see the divorce papers Darren had filed, and I handed them over. She spent about 30 minutes reading through everything carefully, and I watched her expression change from concern to angry to absolutely furious. "This is bad, Renee," she finally said, looking up at me. "Your husband's lawyer is Victor Brennan. He's one of the most aggressive family law attorneys in Houston. He's known for winning ugly cases by any means necessary, and they've built a very strong case against you, at least on paper." She showed me the evidence they'd compiled, and with every page, I felt sicker and sicker. There were photographs, photos of my house looking like a complete disaster, dirty dishes piled high in the sink, toys and clothes scattered all over the living room, laundry overflowing from baskets, beds unmade, trash cans overflowing. "These photos were taken when I had pneumonia," I said, my voice rising. "I was in bed for almost 2 weeks. I could barely breathe, let alone clean. Darren refused to help with anything. He said he was too busy with work deadlines. Of course, the house was a mess. I was too sick to move." Patricia nodded sympathetically. "I believe you, Renee, but in court, these photos will be powerful evidence. They'll use them to paint you as neglectful and lazy. A judge who doesn't know the context will see a mother who can't maintain a clean home for her child." Then she showed me credit card statements. Thousands and thousands of dollars in charges for designer handbags, expensive jewelry, luxury spa treatments, fancy dinners at 5-star restaurants, weekend trips to resorts I'd never heard of. "I didn't buy any of this," I said, feeling panic rising in my chest. "I've never owned a designer handbag in my entire life. I don't even know what half these stores are. I haven't been to a spa in years. What is this?" "This is a credit card in your name," Patricia said carefully. "But based on what you're telling me, it sounds like your husband used this card and made all these purchases himself." I suddenly remembered. 2 years ago, Darren had said he needed an additional credit card for household emergencies. He said his business card had too many work expenses on it, and he wanted to keep things separate. He'd applied for a card in my name and kept it in his wallet. "I trusted him," I whispered. "I never checked the statements. He handled all the bills. He told me not to worry about it." Patricia rubbed her temples. "Renee, he set you up. He made all these purchases using a card in your name so he could make you look like a reckless spender. Every dinner with his mistress, every gift he bought her, every spa weekend they probably spent together, all of it charged to you." The realization hit me like a freight train. Every kind gesture. Every time Darren said, "Don't worry about the finances, I'll handle everything." Every time he took that card saying he'd forgotten his own. It was all part of his plan to frame me. But the worst evidence was yet to come. Patricia pulled out a thick document and placed it in front of me. "This is the most damaging piece of evidence they have, Renee. It's an expert witness report from a licensed family therapist named Dr. Monica Reyes." I grabbed the report and started reading, and with every sentence, I felt my stomach turn over. Dr. Reyes claimed she had conducted covert observations of me and Maya over a 4-month period. She said she'd watched us at parks, at the grocery store, at the mall, at Maya's school pickup. Her findings were absolutely devastating. She claimed I was emotionally volatile and unstable. She said I grabbed Maya roughly in public on multiple occasions. She said I ignored Maya's needs and was constantly distracted by my phone. She said when Maya tripped at a playground, I overreacted with extreme hysteria that further traumatized the child. Her professional conclusion was that I suffered from severe emotional dysregulation and was projecting my own mental health issues onto my daughter. She recommended that full custody be granted to Darren for Maya's psychological well-being and safety. I threw the report across the room. I was so angry I was shaking. "This is complete lies," I screamed. "Every single word is a lie. I've never grabbed my daughter roughly. I don't ignore her. I'm always present. Always. How could she write these things about me?" "Do you know this woman?" Patricia asked carefully. "This Dr. Monica Reyes." "No, I've never heard of her in my entire life. I've never met her. How could she have been observing me if I've never even seen her?" Patricia leaned back in her chair. "That's what makes this so dangerous, Renee. Her credentials are legitimate. She's a licensed therapist with an established practice. On paper, she looks completely credible. Covert observation is an accepted method in child psychology evaluations. The court will take her testimony very seriously." I felt defeated all over again. How was I supposed to fight against fake photos, fake credit card charges, and a fake psychological report? I had nothing. No money, no evidence, no proof of my side of the story. "I can't afford you," I finally admitted, my voice barely a whisper. "Darren took everything. I have maybe $300 in cash that I hid in my closet for emergencies. That's it. That's all I have to my name." Patricia was quiet for a moment. Then she reached across the table and took my hand. "Let's worry about payment later. I've been doing this for 25 years, Renee. I know when a woman is telling the truth, and I know when a man is trying to destroy her. We have a deadline to respond to this filing, and then we're going to trial. We need to move fast, but we're going to fight. Together." For the first time in days, I felt like maybe I had a fighting chance. But things at home got so much worse. Darren didn't move out. He stayed in that house, living in the guest room, and he made my life a living nightmare. He started bringing home expensive gifts for Maya: a brand new iPhone, designer sneakers, a laptop for her room, clothes from stores I couldn't even afford to walk into. Every single day there was something new. And every time he gave her something, he'd make a show of it right in front of me. "Look what Daddy got you, princess," he'd say with that fake smile on his face. "Daddy always takes care of you. Daddy makes sure you have the best of everything. Not everyone can afford to give you nice things, but Daddy can." He'd look right at me when he said it. He wanted me to know exactly what he was doing. He was trying to buy Maya's love while making me look poor and inadequate. He started undermining me constantly. If I cooked dinner, he'd take one bite and push the plate away. "Maya, this doesn't taste right. Let me order us some real food. Daddy will get us that Thai place you like." If I tried to help Maya with her homework, he'd push me aside. "Let me handle this, princess. Mommy's way is confusing. You'll learn it wrong if she teaches you." If I asked Maya to clean her room or do her chores, he'd tell her, "You don't have to listen to that. Mommy's just stressed. Go play. Daddy will handle the room later." Every single day, he was systematically destroying my authority as a mother, making Maya question me, making her think I was the problem, making her doubt everything I said. And I saw it working. Some days Maya looked at me with confusion in her eyes, with hesitation, with uncertainty. It was breaking my heart. But what I didn't know was that Maya was playing her own game. She was smarter than both of us, way smarter. One night, about 2 weeks before our court hearing, something happened that changed everything. I was in the kitchen cleaning up after dinner. Darren had taken Maya out for ice cream without telling me, and they'd just gotten home. Maya went straight upstairs to her room, and Darren came into the kitchen with this satisfied smirk on his face. "She had a great time," he said, pouring himself a drink. "We talked about a lot of things, about how life is going to be so much better when it's just the two of us. She understands, Renee. She knows you're not capable of taking care of her properly. I gripped the counter so hard my knuckles turned white. Don't you dare turn my daughter against me. Darren laughed, that cold, cruel laugh I had learned to hate. I'm not turning her against you. I'm just showing her the truth. And the truth is, you're a failure. You failed as a wife. You failed as a mother. And soon, a judge is going to see exactly what I see. He walked out of the kitchen, and I heard him go upstairs to the guest room and close the door. I stood there shaking with rage and grief, but then I heard footsteps behind me. Mommy. I turned around. Maya was standing in the doorway in her pajamas, her old tablet clutched in her hands. The tablet she'd had for years before Darren bought her the new laptop. The one with the cracked screen that barely worked anymore. Baby, why aren't you in bed? Maya walked over to me and wrapped her arms around my waist. I need to tell you something, Mommy, but I need you to trust me, okay? Of course, baby. I always trust you. She looked up at me with those beautiful brown eyes, and there was something in them I'd never seen before. Determination, fierceness, a strength that made her seem so much older than 11 years old. I know what Daddy's doing, she said quietly. I know he's trying to take me away from you. I know about the other lady. I know about everything. My heart stopped. What, Maya, what are you talking about? What other lady? I can't tell you yet, Mommy, but I need you to know that no matter what happens, I'm on your side. I'm always on your side. And everything's gonna be okay. I promise. She hugged me tight and I held her, completely confused and terrified and hopeful all at the same time. What did she know? How did she know it? That night, after Maya went to bed, I went to check on her. She was asleep, her chest rising and falling peacefully. And there, sticking out from under her pillow, was that old tablet with the cracked screen. Why was she keeping that broken thing under her pillow? I didn't understand it then, but I should have. My baby girl had been carrying the answer to everything right under her pillow for months. The court-ordered mediation was a complete disaster. It was supposed to be a chance for both sides to negotiate, maybe reach a settlement without going to trial. But Darren had no intention of negotiating anything. He wanted to destroy me, and he wasn't going to stop until he had taken everything. We sat in a small conference room, me and attorney Patricia on one side, Darren and his lawyer, Victor Brennan, on the other side. A court mediator sat at the head of the table, trying to keep the peace. Patricia started calmly. My client is willing to be reasonable. She's not asking for much. Renee just wants shared custody of Maya and a fair division of marital assets. She's willing to discuss terms. Before Patricia could even finish, Victor Brennan cut her off with a wave of his hand. There's nothing to discuss, Brennan said sharply. He was a tall man in an expensive suit with slicked-back hair and cold gray eyes. Everything about him screamed arrogance. Our client's position is clear and non-negotiable. He slammed a thick folder onto the table. Mrs. Carter has failed in every aspect of this marriage. The evidence we have, photographic evidence, financial records, and expert psychological testimony, proves beyond any doubt that she is unfit as a wife and as a mother. That's not true, I started to say. Mrs. Carter, Brennan turned his cold eyes on me. You'll have your chance to speak in court. For now, I suggest you listen. Patricia squeezed my arm under the table, silently telling me to stay calm. But every word out of this man's mouth made me want to scream. Brennan continued. Our client is generously offering Mrs. Carter the opportunity to walk away from this marriage with a shred of dignity. If she signs the agreement we've prepared, she can avoid a drawn-out trial that will publicly humiliate her. What agreement? Patricia asked, though her tone made it clear she knew it wouldn't be fair. Brennan pulled out another document and slid it across the table. Patricia and I read it together, and I felt physically ill. The agreement gave Darren full custody of Maya. I would get supervised visitation only, 2 hours every other Sunday, supervised by a court-appointed monitor like I was some kind of criminal. I would get none of the marital assets. No house, no savings, no car, nothing. I would have to leave with only my personal belongings. This is insane, I said, unable to stay quiet anymore. You want to take my daughter and leave me homeless with nothing, after I gave up my career to raise her, after I spent 9 years taking care of this family. Darren finally spoke up, and his voice was calm and measured, rehearsed. Renee, I'm trying to do what's best for Maya. She needs stability. She needs a parent who can provide for her emotionally and financially. You've proven you can't do either. I'm just trying to protect our daughter. I'm her mother, I screamed, tears streaming down my face. I've taken care of her every single day of her life. I know her better than anyone. How dare you sit there and say I can't provide for her? This is exactly what we're talking about, Brennan said, pointing at me like I was a piece of evidence. Emotional instability, volatile behavior. This is precisely why our expert witness determined that Mrs. Carter is unfit for custody. The mediator tried to calm things down, but it was pointless. Darren and his lawyer had no interest in compromise. Brennan stood up and gathered his papers. Sign the agreement, Mrs. Carter, or we'll see you in court. And I promise you, what we present at trial will be far more damaging than what you've seen today. Darren stood up too, straightening his jacket. He looked at me with those cold, dead eyes. Last chance, Renee, take the deal, or lose everything. Then they walked out, just left, like they owned the world. Patricia and I sat there in stunned silence. Renee, she finally said, I'm not going to lie to you. This is going to be an uphill battle. They have evidence that looks convincing to a judge who doesn't know the full story, but I believe you, and we're going to fight this with everything we have. What if we lose? I whispered. What if they take Maya from me? Patricia took my hand and squeezed it. We're not going to lose. We're going to show that judge the truth. But I wasn't so sure. How do you fight against lies that look exactly like truth? The first day of trial was one of the worst days of my entire life. The courtroom was this big, intimidating space with high ceilings and dark wood paneling everywhere. The judge sat up on this elevated platform that made him look like he was a mile above everyone else. Everything about that room was designed to make you feel small and powerless. And that's exactly how I felt. Small, powerless, terrified. Darren sat on the other side of the courtroom with Victor Brennan, and he looked so confident, so relaxed, like he'd already won and this trial was just a formality. He didn't even look in my direction. To him, I was already gone, already erased from his life. Attorney Brennan started his opening statement, and I had to sit there silently while he systematically destroyed my character in front of a room full of strangers. Your Honor, Brennan began, his voice booming through the courtroom. This is a straightforward case about a father trying to protect his daughter from a mother who has failed in every measurable way. He pulled up the photographs on a large screen for everyone to see. My messy kitchen, my cluttered living room, my unmade beds, laundry everywhere. While Mr. Carter worked 60-hour weeks to provide for his family, Brennan continued, his wife couldn't even maintain basic household cleanliness. These photos demonstrate a clear pattern of neglect and domestic failure. I wanted to scream. Those photos were taken when I was sick, when I could barely lift my head from the pillow, but I had to sit there in silence while he lied to the judge. Then came the credit card statements. Brennan projected them onto the screen, highlighting the expensive purchases. Mrs. Carter spent over $75,000 in 2 years on luxury items for herself, Brennan said, shaking his head in false disappointment. Designer handbags, jewelry, spa treatments, expensive dinners. While her husband was working to support their daughter's future, she was squandering their family's savings on personal indulgences. Lies, all lies. But they looked so convincing up there on that screen with all the numbers and dates and transaction records looking so official. Patricia did her best in her opening statement. She told my side of the story, how I'd given up my career to raise our daughter, how I'd dedicated 9 years to being a full-time mother, how the photos were taken completely out of context, how Darren had controlled all the finances and used a credit card in my name without my knowledge. But I could tell from the judge's face that Patricia's words weren't landing the same way. Brennan had physical evidence, photos, financial documents, Patricia had my story. And in a courtroom, evidence beats stories every single time. Then came the moment I'd been dreading most. Attorney Brennan stood up and announced, "Your Honor, the plaintiff calls his expert witness, Dr. Monica Reyes." The courtroom doors opened and a woman walked in. And y'all, when I saw her, my whole body went ice cold. She was beautiful, elegant. She wore a perfectly tailored navy blazer and a cream silk blouse. Her dark hair was styled in a sophisticated updo. She walked with complete confidence, heels clicking on the marble floor. She looked every bit like a successful, credible professional. But as she walked past me to get to the witness stand, I smelled it. That perfume. That same expensive, floral perfume I'd been smelling on Darren's shirts for months. The perfume I'd convinced myself was from a colleague. The perfume I'd ignored because I didn't want to believe what my gut was telling me. My hands started shaking. My heart was pounding so hard I thought everyone in the courtroom could hear it. This was her. This was the other woman. This was Darren's mistress. And she was about to lie under oath about me and my daughter. I grabbed Patricia's arm and whispered urgently, "That's her. That's the woman Darren's been seeing. I can smell her perfume. It's the same perfume I've smelled on his clothes for months." Patricia looked alarmed. "Are you absolutely sure?" "I'm positive. That's his mistress, and she's about to testify against me as an objective expert." Patricia scribbled notes quickly, but I could see the worry in her eyes. Proving she was Darren's mistress wouldn't be easy. And even if we could, we had no way to prove her professional observations were fabricated. Dr. Monica Reyes took the oath, swearing to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And then she sat down in that witness chair and told nothing but lies. Attorney Brennan began questioning Dr. Reyes, and her voice was calm, professional, and utterly convincing. "Dr. Reyes, can you please explain your qualifications for the court?" "Certainly," she said smoothly, folding her hands in her lap like she was having a pleasant conversation. "I have a doctorate in family psychology from Rice University. I've been a licensed therapist for 14 years, specializing in child development and family dynamics. I've published extensively in peer-reviewed journals and have served as an expert witness in family court cases throughout Texas for the past 8 years." Everything she said was probably true. Her credentials were real, and that's what made the lies coming next so incredibly dangerous. "And Dr. Reyes, did you conduct observations of Mrs. Renee Carter and her daughter Maya?" "Yes, I did," she said, opening a professional-looking binder filled with notes. "I conducted covert observations over a 4-month period from June through September of this year. I observed their interactions in various natural settings: parks, grocery stores, shopping centers, school pickup locations." "And what did you observe during this time?" Dr. Reyes flipped through her notes like she was presenting scientific research. And then she started lying. Lying about me, lying about my relationship with my daughter, lying about everything. "My observations revealed a concerning pattern of behavior from Mrs. Carter," she said in that calm, professional voice. "On June 23rd, I observed Mrs. Carter and Maya at Target. When Maya attempted to show her mother a toy she was interested in, Mrs. Carter grabbed the child's arm aggressively and spoke to her in a harsh, elevated tone. Maya became visibly distressed and began crying, but rather than comforting her, Mrs. Carter appeared annoyed and dragged the child through the store." My mouth fell open. That never happened. That never happened the way she described it. What actually happened that day was Maya almost ran into the parking lot without looking both ways. A car was backing out of a space right toward her. I grabbed her arm to pull her back because she was about to get hit. I wasn't being aggressive. I was saving my daughter's life. And yes, I raised my voice because I was terrified. Any mother would be terrified. And afterward, I hugged her and explained why she always had to hold my hand in parking lots. But that's not what this woman told the court. She twisted a moment of me protecting my daughter into a moment of me hurting her. Dr. Reyes continued, and every word was like a knife in my heart. "On July 15th, I observed them at Memorial Park. Mrs. Carter sat on a bench completely absorbed in her cell phone while Maya played alone on the playground equipment. For approximately 25 minutes, Mrs. Carter did not look up from her phone once, leaving the child entirely unsupervised in a public space. Another lie. I was texting Patricia that day about finding documents for the divorce case. I was checking my phone for maybe 3 minutes, not 25, and I was watching Maya the entire time. She was never out of my sight, not for a single second. During this observation, Dr. Reyes went on, Maya fell from the climbing structure. Mrs. Carter's reaction was excessive and hysterical. Rather than calmly assessing whether the child was injured, Mrs. Carter ran to her screaming, which escalated Maya's fear and distress significantly. This type of emotional dysregulation in a parent can be more traumatizing to a child than the physical incident itself. I was shaking with rage and grief. I ran to my daughter because she fell and I was scared she was hurt. What mother wouldn't run to her child? What mother wouldn't be worried? She was twisting my love and concern into something pathological, something sick. Dr. Reyes delivered her final conclusions, and they were devastating. Based on my professional observations and clinical expertise, I concluded that Mrs. Renee Carter displays significant signs of emotional instability and poor impulse control. She projects her own emotional distress onto her daughter, creating an unhealthy attachment dynamic. She lacks the consistent emotional regulation necessary for healthy child rearing. She closed her binder and looked directly at the judge. In my professional opinion, Your Honor, Maya would be psychologically and emotionally better served by residing primarily with her father, Mr. Carter, who has demonstrated stable, consistent, and nurturing behavior. I strongly recommend that full custody be granted to the father for the child's psychological well-being and long-term development. The courtroom was completely silent. Her testimony had been so smooth, so professional, so utterly convincing. She sounded like an objective scientist presenting research findings, not like a mistress lying through her teeth to help her lover steal his wife's child. I looked at the judge and my heart sank. He was nodding slightly, taking notes, clearly taking her testimony very seriously. Patricia stood up for cross-examination, and she tried her best. Dr. Reyes, these observations you conducted, were they authorized by Mrs. Carter? Did she consent to being studied? Covert observation is a standard and accepted methodology in my field, Dr. Reyes responded smoothly. The strength of this method is that subjects behave naturally when they're unaware of being observed. It provides the most accurate and unbiased data. But you were paid by Mr. Carter for this testimony. Isn't that correct? I was compensated for my professional services, yes, but my findings are objective and based solely on my clinical observations and professional training. The source of payment does not influence my conclusions in any way. She was good, too good. She had a polished answer for everything. Patricia tried a few more questions, but Dr. Reyes deflected them all with professional ease. The judge seemed satisfied with her responses. When she finally stepped down from the witness stand, she walked past me again. And I swear I saw the tiniest smirk on her face. She knew she'd won. She knew her lies had been believed. Darren's side rested their case, and it was our turn. But what did we have? My word against their mountain of evidence. The second day of trial was even worse than the first. It was my turn to testify, and I was absolutely terrified. Patricia had warned me that Attorney Brennan would try to provoke me. He would try to make me emotional and upset so I'd look exactly like the unstable woman Dr. Reyes had described. I had to stay calm no matter what. Patricia examined me first, and she was gentle. She asked me to explain my life as a stay-at-home mother, my relationship with Maya, my daily routine, the sacrifices I'd made. I told the truth about everything. I quit my nursing career to raise our daughter, Your Honor. I gave up my income, my benefits, my independence because my husband convinced me it was best for our family. For 9 years, I dedicated every waking moment to being Maya's mother. I cooked every meal. I helped with every homework assignment. I was there for every school event, every doctor's appointment, every nightmare at 2 a.m. I explained the context of those photographs. I had pneumonia, Your Honor. I was in bed for almost 2 weeks with a fever of 104. I could barely breathe, let alone clean. Darren refused to help around the house. He said he was too busy with work. Of course, the house was a mess. I was too sick to stand up. I explained the credit cards. That was a card in my name, but I never used it. Darren told me he needed it for household expenses. He kept it in his wallet. I trusted him completely. I had no idea he was charging all those things to my name to make me look like a reckless spender. I was doing okay. I was staying calm, explaining things clearly. Patricia smiled at me encouragingly when she finished her questions. And then Victor Brennan stood up for cross-examination. And I knew I was about to be destroyed. He walked toward me slowly, like a predator circling its prey. "Mrs. Carter," he began, his voice deceptively gentle, "you're asking this court to believe that your husband, a successful professional with no history of deceptive behavior, suddenly decided to set you up with fake photographs and fraudulent credit card charges. Is that your testimony?" "It's not fake," I said, my voice already starting to shake. "It's real. He just took the photos at the worst possible time and used my card without telling me what he was buying." "How convenient," Brennan said with a cold smile. "So nothing is your fault. The mess in your house, your husband's fault for taking pictures at a bad time. The $75,000 in luxury purchases, your husband's fault for using your card. You take absolutely no responsibility for anything." "That's not fair," I said, feeling my emotions starting to rise despite my best efforts. "I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm just saying he manipulated everything to make me look bad." "Do you have any proof of this alleged manipulation, Mrs. Carter? Any evidence at all?" I opened my mouth, but no words came out. I had no proof, just my word against his. "No," I finally whispered. "I don't have proof, I just know what happened." "You just know," Brennan repeated mockingly. "Well, Mrs. Carter, this court deals in evidence, not feelings, not intuition, evidence." He walked back to his table and picked up a large photograph. My stomach dropped. I knew what was coming. "Your Honor, I'd like to introduce Plaintiff's Exhibit E14. He held up the photo for everyone to see. It was me in my bedroom, hair wild and messy, face red and swollen from crying, mouth open mid-scream. I looked absolutely unhinged in that photograph. "Mrs. Carter, can you explain this photograph?" Tears immediately started falling down my face. I remembered that night so clearly. It was 3 weeks before Darren filed for divorce. He had come home late, smelling like that perfume, and when I confronted him about it, he turned everything around on me. He told me I was paranoid. He told me I was crazy. He told me I was a terrible wife and an even worse mother. He said Maya would be better off without me. He said I was worthless. He'd said these horrible, cruel things to me for over an hour, breaking me down piece by piece. And when I finally couldn't take it anymore, when I finally broke down screaming and crying, he pulled out his phone and snapped that picture. "Mrs. Carter," Brennan pressed, "we're waiting for an explanation." "That night," I said through my tears, my voice breaking, "Darren told me I was worthless. He told me I didn't deserve to be Maya's mother. He said horrible, cruel things to me for over an hour until I couldn't take it anymore. And when I finally broke down crying, he took that picture. He did it on purpose. He wanted to make me look crazy." "So you admit it," Brennan pounced immediately. "You admit you were screaming hysterically, exactly as Dr. Reyes described in her professional assessment. You admit you have emotional outbursts." "He provoked me," I shouted, my voice getting louder despite my efforts to stay calm. "He emotionally abused me for months. He said terrible things to break me down. He set me up." "Mrs. Carter, please calm down," the judge said, his voice stern. But I couldn't calm down. All the pain, all the betrayal, all the injustice of this entire situation came pouring out of me like a dam breaking. "Don't you see what he's doing?" I screamed, standing up from the witness chair. "He planned this whole thing. He's been with another woman. That psychologist is his mistress. She's lying to help him take my daughter. He stole my money. He set me up. He's trying to destroy me." "Mrs. Carter, sit down immediately." the judge shouted, banging his gavel. I collapsed back into the chair, sobbing uncontrollably. My whole body was shaking. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I looked up through my tears and saw Darren on the other side of the courtroom. He had his head bowed. He was shaking his head slowly with this sad, hurt expression on his face, like I was the one hurting him, like I was the crazy one, like I was the problem. And sitting in the gallery behind him, Dr. Monica Reyes sat with her hands folded in her lap, the smallest smile playing on her perfectly painted lips. They'd won. They'd provoked me into doing exactly what they wanted. I'd looked unstable. I'd looked hysterical. I'd looked exactly like Dr. Reyes had described me in her fabricated psychological report. Attorney Brennan walked back to his table, satisfaction written all over his face. No further questions, Your Honor. Patricia tried to do damage control, but there was no coming back from that. The judge had seen me lose control. The judge had seen me scream and cry and fall apart. When we left the courtroom that day, Patricia put her hand on my shoulder. Renee, I'm so sorry, but we're not done fighting. We still have one more day. But I knew the truth. We'd already lost. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, knowing that tomorrow the judge was going to rule against me. Tomorrow I was going to lose Maya. Tomorrow my world was going to end. Around midnight, I couldn't take it anymore. I got up and went to Maya's room. I needed to see her, to hold her, to memorize everything about her because I didn't know how many more nights I'd ever get to do this. I opened her door quietly. She was asleep, her chest rising and falling peacefully. She looked so beautiful, so innocent. She had no idea that her whole life was about to be turned upside down. I sat on the edge of her bed and just watched her sleep. I stroked her hair gently. I whispered, I love you, baby girl. No matter what happens tomorrow, please never forget that Mommy loves you more than anything in this whole world. I stood up to leave, and that's when I saw it again. That old tablet with the cracked screen, peeking out from under her pillow. Why did she keep that broken thing? She had the brand new laptop Darren bought her. She had the new iPhone. Why was this old, barely functional tablet so important to her that she slept with it under her pillow every single night? I stood there looking at it for a long time, confused, but I was too emotionally exhausted to think about it clearly. I kissed Maya on the forehead and went back to my room, not knowing that my daughter had been carrying the answer to everything under her pillow for months. The next morning came too fast. Judgment Day. The day the judge would make his final ruling. The day I would either keep my daughter or lose her forever. I got dressed in my best outfit, a simple black dress that I'd worn to job interviews years ago when I still had a career. I looked at myself in the mirror and barely recognized the woman staring back at me. I looked exhausted, defeated, broken. Patricia picked me up and drove us to the courthouse. The whole drive, she tried to prepare me for what was coming. Renee, I need you to be ready for this ruling, she said gently. Given how the trial went, given your testimony yesterday, I think we need to prepare for the possibility that… I know, I interrupted, my voice hollow. I'm going to lose. We can appeal, Patricia said quickly. If the ruling goes against you, we can file an appeal. We can keep fighting. But I didn't have the strength to keep fighting. I felt like I'd already lost everything that mattered. We entered the courtroom, and it felt even colder than before, like walking into a tomb. Darren was already there with Attorney Brennan, both of them looking confident and relaxed. Dr. Monica Reyes sat in the gallery wearing another expensive outfit, ready to celebrate her victory. The judge entered, and we all stood. This was it. This was the moment my life would either be saved or destroyed. Please be seated, the judge said, settling into his chair. He opened the thick file in front of him and began to speak. This court has reviewed all evidence submitted by both parties, heard testimony from witnesses, and carefully considered the arguments presented. This is never an easy decision, as it involves the well-being of a minor child. My heart was pounding so hard, I thought I might pass out. The plaintiff, Mr. Carter, has presented substantial evidence supporting his claims. The photographic evidence demonstrates concerning patterns of household neglect. The financial records show significant irresponsible spending. And most significantly, the expert testimony from Dr. Monica Reyes provides a professional, objective assessment of the defendant's emotional state and parenting capabilities. Every word felt like a nail in my coffin. Furthermore, the judge continued, this court witnessed firsthand the defendant's emotional instability during her testimony. Mrs. Carter's outburst in this courtroom, her inability to maintain composure, and her accusations without supporting evidence all corroborate Dr. Reyes' professional assessment. I closed my eyes. This was it. He was going to give Darren everything. Therefore, having considered all evidence presented, and most importantly, considering what is in the best interest of the minor child, Maya Carter, this court rules. He raised his gavel, ready to bring it down on my life. And then I heard it. A small voice from the back of the courtroom. Stop, please wait. Everyone turned at once. Standing in the doorway was Maya, my 11-year-old daughter, in her school uniform, backpack still on her shoulders, her old tablet clutched in her hands. Maya, I whispered, not believing what I was seeing. How was she here? Who brought her? School was in session. Darren's reaction was immediate and violent. He jumped up from his chair, his face going completely white. Maya, what are you doing here? You can't be here. Get out right now. His voice was panicked in a way I'd never heard before. He was terrified. But Maya didn't move. She stood in that doorway, small and scared, but absolutely determined. Mr. Carter, sit down, the judge commanded, his voice sharp. Darren was shaking. Your Honor, she shouldn't. This is completely inappropriate. I said sit down, the judge repeated, banging his gavel. Attorney Brennan was on his feet too, looking just as panicked as Darren. Your Honor, this is a clear violation of court procedure. A minor child has no business being in this courtroom during proceedings that concern her custody. I demand she be removed immediately. But the judge held up his hand. His eyes were fixed on Maya, and there was something in his expression that I couldn't quite read. Curiosity, suspicion, interest. Young lady, the judge said, his voice gentler than I'd heard it throughout this entire trial. How did you get here? Who brought you to this courtroom? Maya walked down the center aisle, her footsteps echoing in the silent room. She walked past the rows of seats, past Attorney Brennan and Darren, past me, though she gave me the quickest glance that seemed to say, It's okay, Mommy, I've got this. And she walked right up to the judge's bench. She was so small standing there, looking up at him, but her voice was clear and strong when she spoke. I came by myself, Your Honor. Well, my cousin Tanya drove me, but I asked her to. She's waiting outside. And why did you come here, sweetheart? The judge asked. Maya took a deep breath. I saw her hands trembling as she clutched her tablet straps. Because I heard Daddy tell Miss Monica that you were gonna take me away from Mommy today. And that's not fair, because Daddy lied. Daddy and Miss Monica both lied about everything. The courtroom erupted. Darren was shouting. Attorney Brennan was objecting, but the judge banged his gavel hard multiple times. Order, everyone be quiet immediately. In the chaos, I saw Dr. Monica Reyes in the gallery. She had stood up halfway, like she was about to run. Her face had gone from smug confidence to pure terror in seconds. The judge looked at Maya again. You said your father lied. What do you mean by that? Your Honor, this is completely inappropriate, Attorney Brennan shouted. You cannot allow a child to testify without proper procedures and preparation. I'm not testifying, Maya said, her voice stronger now. I'm showing you something. She swung her backpack around and unzipped it. From inside, she pulled out her old tablet, the cracked one, the one she'd been sleeping with under her pillow for months. My heart stopped completely. What was on that tablet? Your Honor, Maya said, holding up the device. May I show you something that Mommy doesn't know about? The judge stared at her for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. Yes, sweetheart, yes, you may. No, Darren screamed, lunging toward the front of the courtroom. You can't, that's private, she can't show that, it's not admissible, it's… Two bailiffs grabbed Darren and forced him back into his seat. He was still struggling, still shouting, and I had never seen him look so absolutely terrified in my entire life. In the gallery, Dr. Monica Reyes had turned toward the exit, but a female bailiff was already blocking the door. A court clerk came forward and helped Maya connect her tablet to the courtroom's display system. The large monitors on the walls flickered to life, showing Maya's tablet screen. I held my breath. What was my daughter about to show? Maya's small finger pressed the play button on a video file. The video started, and from the very first second, I knew Darren's entire world was about to collapse. The video showed our living room. The camera angle was low and slightly shaky, like it had been recorded from behind something. Behind the large bookshelf in the corner. I realized it was Maya's favorite hiding spot when she played hide and seek. The timestamp said it was from 2 months ago, around 10:30 p.m. On the screen, Darren walked into the living room, and right behind him was Dr. Monica Reyes, not in her professional blazer, but in casual clothes, hair down, looking completely comfortable in my home. Darren pulled her close and kissed her deeply, his hands running through her hair. In our living room, where we'd spent 11 years of marriage, where our daughter played every single day. Gasps echoed through the courtroom. Someone in the gallery said, "Oh my God." I couldn't breathe. I had known there was another woman, but actually seeing them together in my home, it felt like being stabbed in the chest. But the video was just beginning. The audio was crystal clear. Monica's voice came through the speakers. "Baby, are you absolutely sure this plan is going to work? What if Renee figures it out before the trial?" Darren actually laughed. "Renee, please. That woman is completely clueless. She's too busy playing housewife to notice anything. I've been moving money out of our accounts for almost a year, and she hasn't noticed a single thing." "How much have you moved?" Monica asked. "Almost $300,000 so far," Darren said proudly. "All safely in that offshore account under your name. Once this divorce is final and I get the house, we'll sell it and move to Miami like we planned. Start fresh, far away from her." I felt Patricia grab my hand and squeeze it. Evidence, real, undeniable evidence that Darren had stolen our money. On the screen, Monica moved closer to Darren, running her fingers down his chest. "And you're sure you'll get custody of Maya?" "Baby, I've got the best lawyer in Houston," Darren said confidently. "And more importantly, I've got you. Your testimony as an expert psychologist is gonna seal the deal. No judge is gonna rule against professional psychological evaluation." My hands flew to my mouth. He had just confessed. He had just admitted on camera that Dr. Monica Reyes was his mistress, not an objective expert. The video continued. "But what if Maya doesn't want to come with you?" Monica asked. "She seems really attached to her mother." Darren's laugh was cold and cruel. "Maya's 11 years old. Kids are easy to manipulate. I've been buying her all these expensive gifts, undermining Renee's authority every chance I get. By the time the court gives me custody, Maya won't even want to be with her mother anymore. And if she does, well, kids adjust. You'll be her new mom, a better mom, someone successful and intelligent, not some unemployed housewife who can't even keep a clean kitchen." Monica giggled. "You're terrible." "I'm practical," Darren corrected. "Renee gave up her career to raise Maya. That means she contributed nothing financially to this family. Legally, I can argue she deserves nothing. And with your expert testimony saying she's emotionally unstable, I'll get everything. The house, the kid, everything." "What about my testimony?" Monica asked. "What if their lawyer tries to discredit me?" The next part of the video made my blood run ice cold. Darren pulled out his phone and showed Monica the screen. "This is my insurance policy." On his phone was the photo of me crying hysterically, the one attorney Brennan had shown in court. "I took this 3 weeks ago," Darren explained with pride. I spent about an hour telling Renee what a terrible wife and mother she was, how worthless she was, how Maya deserved better than her. I kept pushing and pushing until she finally broke down. And when she was at her most emotional, when she was completely destroyed, I snapped this picture. "Darren, that's brilliant," Monica said with admiration. "I know," Darren said smugly. "At trial, I'll provoke her again. I'll push all her buttons. I'll make her lose her temper in front of the judge. Once she has an emotional outburst in court, your psychological assessment will look perfect. The judge will see for himself that she's unstable. No one will question your professional opinion." They kissed again. And then Darren raised his wine glass. "To freedom," he toasted. "To getting rid of dead weight." Monica raised her glass too. "To our new life together. And to that stupid woman finally getting exactly what she deserves. Absolutely nothing." They clinked glasses and laughed. The video ended. The screen went black. The courtroom was dead silent for maybe 5 seconds. And then everything exploded into chaos. Oh my God. They planned the whole thing. That woman is his mistress. He set her up. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. Tears were pouring down my face, but I couldn't even feel them. I was in complete and total shock. Darren was on his feet, screaming. "That video is fake. It's edited. She made it up. You can't use that as evidence. This is entrapment." "Sit down," the judge roared, his face red with fury. Attorney Brennan looked like he was going to be physically sick. All the color had drained from his face. His entire case, his entire reputation, had just been destroyed in 4 minutes. And Dr. Monica Reyes? She had bolted for the door, but the bailiff blocked her path. When she realized she was trapped, she collapsed onto the floor, sobbing. "He made me do it," she screamed. "Darren planned everything. He told me what to say. He promised he was gonna marry me. I only did this because I loved him. I didn't want to hurt anyone." "She's lying," Darren shouted back. "She seduced me. She came up with this whole plan. I'm the victim here." Silence. The judge stood up from his bench. And I had never seen anyone look so absolutely furious. "Both of you will be quiet this instant." He turned to the bailiffs. "Officers, I want both Mr. Carter and Dr. Reyes detained immediately. Do not let either of them leave this courtroom." The bailiffs moved quickly. Darren tried to resist, but they grabbed his arms and forced them behind his back, snapping handcuffs on his wrists. "You can't do this," Darren screamed, all his composure completely gone. "I have rights. I demand my attorney. You can't arrest me." Dr. Monica Reyes was handcuffed too, still sobbing, mascara running down her face in black streaks. All her professional polish had completely disappeared. She looked exactly like what she was, a mistress who had gotten caught. The judge turned his attention to Attorney Brennan, who looked like he wanted the floor to open up and swallow him whole. "Mr. Brennan, did you have any knowledge of this? Did you know that your expert witness was your client's mistress?" "No, Your Honor," Brennan said quickly, his voice shaking. "I swear I had no knowledge of any relationship between them. Mr. Carter assured me Dr. Reyes was an objective, licensed professional. I would never knowingly present false testimony." "That may save you from criminal charges," the judge said, "but I will be reporting this matter to the State Bar Association. Your conduct in this case, even if you didn't know about the conspiracy, was aggressive, unethical, and designed to manipulate these proceedings. You will face consequences." Brennan sat down heavily, his career essentially over. And then the judge looked at Maya. My brave, beautiful little girl, still standing there holding her tablet, looking small and scared but so incredibly strong. "Young lady," the judge said, his voice gentle, "that was a very important video you just showed this court. Can you tell me when you recorded it?" 2 months ago, Maya said in her small voice. "I couldn't sleep and I heard Daddy's car come home. I wanted to show him a picture I drew at school, so I went downstairs." She paused, her lip trembling slightly. "But when I got there, I saw him with Miss Monica. I knew I wasn't supposed to see them, so I hid behind the bookshelf. and I remembered what Mommy always taught me. "What did your mommy teach you?" the judge asked. Maya looked at me for the first time since the video played, and my heart broke at the love I saw in her eyes. "Mommy always told me that if someone's doing something wrong, you need proof. She said people don't always believe you just because you're telling the truth. Sometimes you need evidence." "So you recorded them?" Maya nodded. "I used my old tablet because Daddy didn't know I still had it. He thought I only used the laptop he bought me. I kept the video secret because I didn't know what to do with it. I was scared." "Why did you decide to show it today?" the judge asked. Tears started falling down Maya's beautiful face. "Because yesterday, Daddy picked me up from school early. He took me to get ice cream and told me that today the judge was gonna make me go live with him. He said I wouldn't see Mommy very much anymore. He said it was better that way because Mommy was sick and couldn't take care of me right." Maya's voice broke. "But Mommy's not sick. Mommy's the best mom in the whole world. She takes care of me every single day. She helps me with homework. She makes my favorite waffles. She reads to me at night. She's always there when I need her. Daddy barely even talks to me except when he's buying me stuff." She looked at the judge with tears streaming down her face. "I heard Daddy and Miss Monica say horrible things about Mommy. They called her stupid. They said she didn't deserve me. They said she was worthless. But that's not true. And I couldn't let them take me away from my Mommy when they were the ones lying." The judge had to stop and wipe his own eyes. Everyone in the courtroom was crying. Even the bailiffs looked emotional. The judge turned to me, and when he spoke, his voice was full of compassion. "Mrs. Carter, this court owes you a profound apology. You were telling the truth this entire time, and these proceedings nearly resulted in a grave injustice. I am deeply sorry for what you've been put through." I couldn't speak. I just sobbed into my hands. The judge picked up his gavel, and when he spoke again, his voice rang out with absolute authority. "This court finds that the plaintiff's petition for dissolution of marriage was based entirely on fraud, perjury, and manufactured evidence. The petition is hereby dismissed in its entirety." Bang went the gavel. "Furthermore, based on the evidence presented here today, I am making the following orders. 1. Mrs. Renee Carter is granted full and sole custody of the minor child, Maya Carter, effective immediately." I gasped, my hands flying to my mouth. Bang. 2. Mr. Darren Carter's request for divorce is denied. However, Mrs. Carter is hereby granted leave to file her own petition for divorce on grounds of adultery, fraud, and financial malfeasance. I will personally ensure that case is expedited. Bang. 3. All marital assets are frozen as of this moment. A full forensic investigation will be conducted to locate all funds illegally transferred by Mr. Carter. Every penny stolen from Mrs. Carter will be recovered and returned to her with interest. Bang. 4. The marital home is awarded solely to Mrs. Renee Carter and her daughter. Bang. And 5. The judge looked at Darren and Monica with pure disgust. "Mr. Darren Carter and Dr. Monica Reyes, you are both under arrest. The charges include conspiracy to commit fraud, perjury before this court, grand larceny, evidence tampering, and obstruction of justice. Officers, remove them from my courtroom." Bang. Darren was screaming as they dragged him away. "This isn't over. I'll appeal. You can't do this to me. I have rights." But he was done. Everyone knew it. Dr. Monica Reyes had stopped fighting. They let her out in handcuffs, her expensive outfit now wrinkled and stained with tears. She didn't look like a successful professional anymore. She looked like exactly what she was, a woman who had bet everything on the wrong man and lost. I sat there in complete shock, unable to process what had just happened. One moment, I was losing everything. The next moment, I'd won, completely and totally won. Patricia was hugging me, laughing and crying at the same time. "Renee, you did it. Your daughter saved you. She saved both of you." But I wasn't looking at Patricia. I was looking at Maya, who was being helped down from the front of the courtroom by a kind clerk. She ran to me, and I dropped to my knees and caught her in my arms. I held my baby girl so tight, sobbing into her hair. "Thank you," I whispered over and over. "Thank you, baby. Thank you for saving us." "I love you, Mommy," Maya said, crying too. "I couldn't let them take you away from me." "I love you too, baby girl, so much, more than you'll ever know." We stood there in that courtroom, holding each other, crying tears of relief and joy, while all around us, people clapped and cheered. Justice had finally been served. 8 months later, my life looks completely different. Darren was sentenced to 12 years in prison for fraud, theft, perjury, and obstruction of justice. Turns out, the offshore accounts held almost $350,000 that he'd stolen from our family over the years. Dr. Monica Reyes got 8 years, and her therapy license was permanently revoked. She'll never practice psychology again. Attorney Brennan was disbarred and is facing his own legal troubles for his role in the conspiracy. The forensic investigation found every penny Darren had stolen. All of it was returned to me, plus interest and damages. I sold that big house in the suburbs. I couldn't live there anymore, not after everything that happened there. Too many painful memories in those walls. Maya and I moved to a beautiful 3-bedroom condo in the Heights. It's smaller, but it's ours. It's peaceful. It's full of love and laughter and healing. I went back to nursing. It took some refresher courses and studying, but I passed my exams and got hired at Texas Children's Hospital. I'm back in the pediatric unit, taking care of kids who need help. It feels amazing to have my career back, to have my independence, to be contributing to the world again. But the best part of all, watching Maya thrive. She's happy, she's confident, she's doing incredibly well in school. She joined the debate team and the drama club. She's made amazing friends who adore her. And she knows, without a single doubt, that her mother loves her and will always protect her, just like she protected me. We have a routine now, every Saturday morning. We go to this little cafe near our condo. We order pancakes with whipped cream and hot chocolate, and we just talk, really talk, about school, about her friends, about her dreams, about anything and everything. It was on one of those Saturday mornings, about 2 months ago, that I finally asked her the question I'd been holding on to. "Baby girl," I said, taking a sip of my coffee, "can I ask you something?" "Sure, Mommy," Maya said, whipped cream on her upper lip. "Why did you record that video? I mean, I know you saw Daddy with Miss Monica, but what made you think to record them?" Maya was quiet for a moment, stirring her hot chocolate. "I didn't like Miss Monica from the first time I saw her," she said finally. "When was that?" "Remember when we went to the mall to buy school supplies? And that nice lady helped us find the right notebooks and folders." I remembered. A woman had helped us at Office Depot, chatting with us about back-to-school shopping. She'd been friendly and professional. "That was Miss Monica," Maya said. "She was pretending to be nice. She even talked to you about how hard it is to find good sales on school supplies. She acted like she was just a helpful stranger." My blood ran cold. Monica had been studying us even then, watching us, gathering observations for her fake psychological report, all while pretending to be a random helpful person. "But after you went to the bathroom," Maya continued, "she looked over at Daddy. I didn't see him at first. I thought it was just a coincidence that he was at the store. But she rolled her eyes and said, 'Your wife takes forever. How do you stand her?' And Daddy just laughed." "Oh, baby," I whispered, my heart breaking for what my daughter had witnessed. "And then at the park," Maya said, "Miss Monica was there too. She sat on a different bench pretending to read a book, but I saw her watching us. And when I fell off the swings and you ran to help me, I saw her writing stuff down in a little notebook. I knew something was wrong." My clever, observant little girl had noticed everything. "So when you saw them together that night in our house?" "I knew they were doing something bad," Maya said simply. "Daddy was kissing someone who wasn't you. That's wrong. And I remembered what you always told me." "What's that, baby?" "You always said that if someone's doing something wrong, you can't just say it happened. You have to prove it. Remember when that girl at school said I cheated on a test? And I didn't. You told me that next time I should make sure a teacher was watching or have a friend who could tell the truth. You said proof is important. I had told her that. It was such a simple lesson, just trying to teach her about standing up for herself when people lied about her. I never imagined she'd use that lesson to save both of us. So I recorded them with my old tablet, Maya continued. I kept it under my pillow because I didn't want Daddy to find it. He might have deleted everything. That was very smart, baby. I didn't know if I should show you, Maya admitted, her voice getting smaller. Daddy told Miss Monica that you were too stupid to understand what was happening. I never thought you were stupid, Mommy. I never believed that. But I was scared that if I showed you, you'd be really sad. And you were already crying so much. My heart shattered into a million pieces. My baby girl had been carrying this heavy secret, trying to protect me from more pain, while also knowing she had the evidence that could save us both. Why didn't you tell me even when the court stuff started? I asked gently. Maya's eyes filled with tears. I thought maybe the judge would see that Daddy was lying. I thought grown-ups would figure it out. I didn't want to make you sadder by showing you Daddy kissing someone else. Oh, sweetheart. I pulled her close. But then, Maya's voice broke. Daddy picked me up from school that day. He took me to get ice cream and told me that the next day the judge was gonna make me live with him. He said I wouldn't see you very much anymore. He said it was better that way because you were sick. Tears were streaming down both our faces. And I heard him on the phone with Miss Monica that night, Maya continued. He said, tomorrow it's done. I'm finally free of her. We can start our real life. Move to Miami, leave all this behind. She looked up at me with those beautiful brown eyes. And Mommy, I didn't want to move to Miami. I didn't want to leave you. I didn't want Miss Monica to be my new mom. You're my mom. You're the only mom I'll ever want. You're never gonna have a new mom, I said fiercely, holding her face in my hands. I'm your mom. I'll always be your mom, forever and ever. I know that now, Maya said, but I was so scared that night. So the next morning, I put my tablet in my backpack, and during lunch, I called Cousin Tanya and told her everything. She came and checked me out of school and drove me to the courthouse. Cousin Tanya knew. Maya nodded. I made her promise not to tell you. I wanted to do it myself. I wanted to show the judge the truth. You were so brave, baby girl. So incredibly brave. I was scared, Mommy, Maya admitted. When I walked into that courtroom and everyone was looking at me, I almost ran away. And when Daddy started yelling, I wanted to cry. But you didn't run. You stayed. Because I thought about you, Maya said. I thought about how Daddy and Miss Monica said those mean things about you. How they called you worthless and stupid. How they wanted to take everything from you. And I got mad instead of scared. You saved me, I whispered. You saved both of us. You saved me too, Mommy, Maya said, hugging me tight. You saved me every single day by being the best mom ever, by teaching me right from wrong, by teaching me to stand up for the truth, by loving me so much. She pulled back and looked at me with those wise, beautiful eyes. That's what really saved us, love. We sat there in that cafe, holding each other, both of us crying happy tears. People around us probably thought we looked silly. This grown woman and her 11-year-old daughter sobbing over pancakes. But we didn't care. Because we had won, not just in court, but in life. We had survived something terrible, and we'd come out stronger on the other side. Mommy, Maya asked after a while. Yes, baby. I still have the video on my tablet. Should I delete it? I thought about that for a moment. That video had saved us, but it also contained such painful memories. Betrayal, cruelty, a man I'd loved turning into a monster. What do you want to do with it? I asked. Maya thought carefully. I think I want to keep it, not to watch it again, but just to remember that sometimes bad things happen. But if you're brave and tell the truth, good things can win. Out of the mouths of babes. My 11-year-old daughter had more wisdom than most adults I've ever known. Then keep it, baby, I said. Keep it as a reminder that you're a hero, that you saved your mama, that you're brave and strong and smart. We're both brave and strong and smart, Maya corrected me, smiling through her tears. Yes, we are, I agreed. Looking back now on everything that happened, I still can't believe how close I came to losing everything. If Maya hadn't recorded that video, if she hadn't been brave enough to bring it to court, if she hadn't stood up and told the truth when everyone else was lying, I would have lost my daughter. I would have lost my home. I would have lost everything I ever cared about. Darren's plan had been perfect. He had manipulated evidence. He had stolen money. He had planted his mistress as an expert witness. He had provoked me into looking unstable. Every piece of his conspiracy had worked exactly as he planned it. But he made one fatal mistake. He underestimated his daughter. He thought Maya was just a child who could be bought with expensive gifts and manipulated with pretty lies. He thought she wouldn't notice what he was doing. He thought she wouldn't care enough to stop him. He was wrong, so completely and totally wrong. Maya saw everything. She understood more than any of us realized. And when it mattered most, when I had nothing left and no way to fight back, my baby girl stepped up and fought for me. People always ask me, Renee, how did you survive all that? How did you get through it? And my answer is always the same. I didn't survive it alone. My daughter saved me. Some people say I should hate Darren for what he did to me. And yeah, there are days when I'm angry about the betrayal, about the cruelty, about the way he tried to destroy me. But mostly, I feel sorry for him. He had a beautiful family. He had a wife who loved him and dedicated her entire life to supporting him. He had a daughter who was smart and kind and absolutely amazing. He had a good life. And he threw it all away. For what? For money, for a mistress, for some fantasy life in Miami. Now he sits in prison with 12 years to think about what he lost. And when he gets out, his daughter will be 23 years old. He'll have missed her entire childhood, her teenage years, her high school graduation, her prom, her first heartbreak, her college acceptance letters. All the moments that matter. He traded all of that for nothing. Dr. Monica Reyes lost everything too. Her career, her freedom, her reputation. She thought she was going to be Darren's wife, Maya's new mother, living in a fancy condo in Miami. Instead, she's in prison. Branded as a fraud who used her professional credentials to destroy an innocent woman's life. They all paid the price for their lies. But me, I'm finally free. Free from a marriage that had died years ago. Free from a man who never truly loved or respected me. Free from the constant feeling that I wasn't good enough, wasn't doing enough, wasn't enough. Period. I'm building a life on my own terms now. A life where I make my own money. Make my own decisions, raise my daughter in a home filled with love and honesty and truth. Is it perfect? No, some days are hard. Some days I'm tired and overwhelmed trying to balance work and being a single mom. Some days I worry about the future. But even on the hardest days, I wake up knowing that I won. I won my freedom, I won my dignity, I won my daughter. And that's everything. I want to say something to anyone out there who might be going through something similar. If you're in a marriage where you feel invisible, where your partner makes you feel small, where you're constantly being told you're not good enough, please know that you deserve better. If someone is manipulating you, gaslighting you, making you doubt your own reality, please know that you're not crazy. You're not imagining things. Trust your gut. If someone is financially controlling you, isolating you, planning to destroy you, please know that you can fight back. Get help. Document everything. Find someone who believes you. And most importantly, if you're a mother fighting for your children, never give up. Never stop fighting. Your kids need you. They see more than you think they see. They understand more than you think they understand. And they need their mama. I thought I was weak. I thought I was stupid. I thought I had failed as a wife and a mother. But my daughter proved me wrong. She showed me that I had raised a hero. And if I could raise a daughter that brave, that smart, that strong, then I couldn't have been the failure Darren claimed I was. I was a good mother. I am a good mother. And that's what saved us in the end. So to everyone out there watching this video, listening to my story, thank you. Thank you for letting me share what happened. Thank you for witnessing my pain and my victory. My name is Renee Carter. I'm 36 years old. I'm a survivor. I'm a nurse. I'm a free woman. But most importantly, I'm Maya's mother. And I always will be. Last week, Maya came home from school with the biggest smile on her face. She'd been elected president of her class. She ran on a platform of telling the truth even when it's hard. That night, as I was tucking her into bed, she looked up at me with those beautiful brown eyes. Mommy. Yes, baby. I'm really happy. Me too, baby girl, me too. Do you think we'll always be this happy? I leaned down and kissed her forehead. I think we've earned a whole lot of happy, baby, and I'm gonna make sure we get every single bit of it. She smiled and closed her eyes. And I stood there watching her sleep, my heart so full it could burst. We had survived the storm. We had made it through the darkness. And now, finally, we were standing in the light. The truth had set us free. And we lived happily ever after, with the biggest smiles on our faces. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I hope it gives hope to anyone out there who feels like they're fighting an impossible battle. Because I'm living proof that sometimes, when everything seems lost, truth and love can still win. The truth always comes to light. Always.